Through 7 games, Gabe's receiving numbers compare pretty favorably to Michael Crabtree's. I mean, do you see him as a player that can have the same kind of impact Crabtree did?
I don't know. I mean, I think he does a good job catching the ball. I think he's still improving. I think he's still steadily improving as a player. Do I have, Michael Crabtree, you're talking about a guy that won 2 Biletnikoff awards, so I mean, that's pretty tough company.
So Stanford has this reputation for just kind of being the bully in the Pac-12, at least the really physical, bruising team. Does their reputation give them a psychological advantage in games at this point?
I don't know. I guess that depends on the other team. I mean, it only does if you let it, but they are a physical they are a physical team. They're very physical, especially in the O-line and the D-line.
Their quarterback, Kevin Hogan's been around for a while, and he's never been one of the more hyped quarterbacks in the conference, but he certainly wins a lot, and he's got a really good passing efficiency. What do you see out of him?
Good player, does a good job running the unit, which I guess is, I've always thought it's the most important role that a quarterback has, within the scheme that they do. I think runs the unit real well, and, seems like he's probably a pretty good leader, and, they're going to run first, run it, and then they'll take a shot at you, and he does a good job with that, so.
You mentioned their running game, Christian McCaffrey, kind of gives them a different look than they've had the last few years. What does he bring to their offense that makes them so multiple?
He's a real versatile guy. I think, his versatility is kind of the biggest thing. He can catch it, he can run with it, and he's really good with the ball in his hands. Just a good, complete overall player,
Have you seen that set they run on offense where they've got the 7 offensive linemen and then the 2 tight ends?
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while. But yeah, it's just playing to their strengths. They have big people, and they get them all out there on the field and hand it to that guy,
You guys had a kind of a jumbo set like that last year. Is that something you cribbed from Stanford?
No, we certainly didn't. I'd prefer it if you have quality receivers, guys that can catch it, when you do your tight set. But we were just limited in who we had, so we put linemen out there.
This past week, how impressive was the blocking from the wide receivers? I know that's a big point of emphasis for you, that not only have to catch the ball but also block. Was that a big reason why everything was kind of clicking?
I think it was better than average. It wasn't great. It was better than average. It was better than it had been the week before.
And just for the layman...
Maybe not as good as against Oregon.
And just for the layman person, just knowing your offense, how important is that for the success of your team offensively? Because obviously that doesn't show up in a stat line. People don't really take notice to that.
Well, it's really important. I mean, we'll flat out not play people if they don't block, I mean, it's really important. Receivers kind of expect people to block for them while quarterbacks are throwing them the ball. So, whether running backs have the ball or the other receiver, they better block. So,
Coach, is physicality like the biggest word that stands out when you think about this Stanford program? Or
yeah, just they're consistent, they're patient.
You expressed a little dismay earlier in the year with the offensive line getting to the second level, getting beyond. On that 43-yard screen to Gabe where he had the whole kind of phalanx running in front of him, that must have been cool to see.
Well, I thought our line did good. I also thought our receivers did good, but I thought our offensive line did good, and it was a pretty synchronized play, and then of course Gabe just followed him. Yeah, I thought that was really a well-executed play.
How do you think Priester did? It looks like he got a little more run this week as he's been, I know he got scaled back earlier in the season, but looks like he was doing some good things out there.
I thought it was the best game he's had. I think that, he steadily improves and emerges, and yeah, I mean, he's getting better and better. We haven't seen his best yet. But he's getting closer.
Considering that the book on Arizona defense heading into the game was their effectiveness, their explosiveness running the football, and then you did really kind of shut down the running back, the number 4 rusher in the Pac-12. Does it seem like the defense is kind of reacting, game planning to the opponent better than in the past?
Well, I think we're better defensively than we've been in the past. I think, coaching-wise, I think they're a real committed group that's, in the trenches and, emphasizes and is more demanding about their scheme. I think we're also more versatile as far as what we'll do. We have more speed on the field and we bring more pressure. And I thought that defensively it was real instrumental early in that game to stop Arizona, which gave us the upper hand. And of course, we never trailed. And then, and as Arizona, rallied, we'd rise up either offensively or defensively. And then I think, but I do think they're playing together well, but I think they can play together better. I think, we're improving defensively, but defensively, we need to continue to work toward that mentality that, that they can flat out take away games from people. And I think, I think our defensive coaches and players are working well that direction. We're not there yet, though.
As a defensive coordinator, does Alex spend more time tweaking scheme or watching film and trying to adjust than most?
I think the biggest thing he does best is he's committed to the fundamentals and doesn't let them off the hook. I mean, fundamentals, he insists that they're run to precision. It's not like a bunch of elaborate schemes as much as is just good technique, good fundamentals, and an emphasis on it over and over. Where your eyes are, where your body is on a particular play. It's not just some big elaborate bag of tricks. It's precision executing what the call is.
It seems like for your defense, 3rd and short, 4th and short, it's been a consistent theme all year that you guys have come up with a big stop when you needed to. What do you think has gone into that mentality, or how have they been able to come up big in those short yard situations?
I think, highly motivated, playing hard. I think, guys like Destiny kind of lead that mentality, but also, just working towards that and being committed to things like that have been an emphasis since camp.
Any questions on the line for Coach Leach?
Hey, Mike, it's Teslo. Why do you think it is that the team has been outscored 51-28 in the third quarter? What really kind of accounts for that third quarter lull the last couple of games?
I don't know. Don't know for sure. I think, I think especially the Oregon State game, we just relaxed, which is, inexcusable on our part. But, the biggest thing that we need to do is just play complete from start to finish.
Do you think that's the mindset that you have to coach, is the idea of staying ahead when you have a big lead?
Well, I think you should play the same, the whole time. You should maximize your performance and your effort the whole time. In the big picture, it helps you improve overall as a player, and then also I think it's just you want to play at as high a level as consistently as long as you possibly can, and I think that's very important.
When you look at game marks, what do you think that redshirt year last year really kind of helped him with? And have you ever redshirted a guy in his sophomore year? Like, what was the rationale behind that last season?
Redshirted a lot of guys, a lot of different years. At the time, Gabe was behind Isaiah Myers, and and I think the redshirt year helped him, and I thought he had a great off season, and is steadily improving this season.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions on the line for Coach Leach? Okay, and back in the room? Oh, well, go ahead, Steph.
Mike, is there a difference between Graham as a coach and as a player? Like, does he bring different attributes to the table, or is he the same guy? Graham Harrell?
Well, I mean, shoot, I don't have a great answer for that. You know, he's the same guy. He's a very steady person. You know, I mean, as a player, he's playing. As a coach, he's coaching. So, I mean, there's definitely some differences. But you know, he's just a clear, sharp student of the game kind of guy, and I think does a good job with those receivers. And receivers can be kind of up and down people, and I think he does a good job leveling them out and keeping them focused, positive, and the rest, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Questions in the room for Coach?
Last week you talked a little about the stats you look at initially when they hand you the book after the game. Are there any kind of newer or advanced stats that you wished were more mainstream or on those kind of post-game sheets you get?
Well, the most wasted one is, the biggest waste of time is time of possession. And what's interesting to me is that was a national obsession for decades. And now it's viewed as more of a waste of time. But it probably took 50 years for that to happen. The other stats.
I guess, is there anything that you guys immediately try and find on film and have your own guys look for that doesn't make those sheets?
Well, I don't know how you could put blitz stats on there. That'd be kind of interesting if you could manage that. And then, shoot, I mean, it's not like there's a shortage of stats and numbers. I mean, if anything, there's probably too many. I can't think of anything that we're really missing on it. They'll come up with something though. Well, the passing efficiency rating, that's a wasted stat. I don't know any coach, with rare exception, that even knows how that's tabulated. And I mean seriously, like NFL, college, they're both different. All over the business, nobody knows how that's added up. Nobody knows what that means. You know, I mean, there'll be some guy that, you know, has a handful of attempts or something like that, and they'll say, oh, geez, he's got a great passing efficiency rating. Well, the other team's not saying, oh, we got to worry about him. They're worried about some guy that throws for a bunch of touchdowns and a ton of yards. You know, that's what they're worried about. And then, let's see, there's another stat I was thinking of. Other stats. So nobody knows what that means. And yeah, one thing I think that I think that sacks should be counted against quarterbacks and offensive linemen. In other words, they shouldn't be on the rushing total. I think rushing total, that should be a running back stat, not one that's contaminated by, you know, quarterback if he gets sacked, whether it's the quarterback's fault or the offensive line's fault. I think sacks should be in a separate category as far as tabulating it. And I think tabulating yards, you know, that's a running back stat. And I wouldn't mess with sacks in it, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you'll look at it, and the quarterback gets sacked or, you know, botches something, or even some punter's running in a circle back there or something like that. And then all of a sudden it looks like the running backs aren't getting their job done, and then you have to go back and split it all up to see exactly what the running backs actually did do, you know. So I think rushing should be carries where they're trying to run the ball, you know. So like if a quarterback runs forward, say, then fine, that's on the rushing total. But this notion some guy back there getting sacked, it doesn't tell me much, then I have to go back and break it down.
Coach, a lot of fans were kind of keeping an eye on College game day and whether it was going to come to Pullman. Were you paying attention to that at all, or would you like to see them game day come to Pullman sometime soon? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I'd like to see them, and then of course our flag's in the background of College game day, you know, all the time. So nobody's been a more loyal supporter of College game day than the Cougs. I've had College game day a couple of times, and it's fun. It's exciting for the fans and everybody. and I don't have a lot of, time to enjoy it myself personally, because I'm kind of preoccupied with the game, but, no, it's a good experience, and I know that it's memorable, to the schools and fans that, where they have it, so.
Is that something you can tell your team's motivation, like, hey, if game day didn't come this weekend, we'll make it seem like they should have come?
Probably won't be on my list of things I run across them. I mean, try to narrow it down, have a few, try not to have too many themes going. Our biggest thing's gonna be focus on ourselves and be the best team we can be and just continue to improve, so.
Coach, have you found losing to be kind of a motivator for your players? A lot of the guys in recent conferences have just kind of said, they were tired of losing, and now that things are moving in a different direction, it's like the hard work's been paying off.
Well, the biggest thing is the hard work continues, and all these games are going to be hard wars that'll go to the finish because the nature of this conference. So, we have to be willing to play and battle the entire game because there's no easy path, and then some of it's just the self-motivation of improving and getting the most out of yourself, and that's what's going to be required. Every one of these games is like that, so, especially here and especially the rest of the way.
Is there something to be said for some of the team leaders or older players on this team really kind of knowing what it can be like when no one's watching and no one's winning, and just how kind of distasteful that must be?
Well, we'll find out. Because we really haven't accomplished anything. Yet. We got to go out there and just win one at a time. All that really counts is this game this week. So.
On the flip side, do you feel like they're handling the winning well? I know that Gabe said that after each week, after each win, the pressure mounts a little bit more. Do you feel like they've been level-headed and that they're staying focused on the task?
No, we just need to take each one of them separate, just do each one separate and just worry about one play at a time.
Is there any way do you worry about building up this game, or do you just kind of let the players handle it? Obviously, there is fanfare around it. It's going to be a night kickoff.
Well, they need to handle it, but I have them handle as little as possible. There's nothing special about this game. We just got to go out and play the best we can. There aren't special games, and there aren't special plays either. You focus on them and make the most out of them, and then do the next one, and then do it one more time. That's what we got to focus on.
Mike, the coverage issues and special teams. I know you said you were going to deliver a message last week. Do you think that message got across?
Well, it's a bad punt. We missed 4 tackles, so I think only a portion of it got across. So, yeah, you can't miss 4 tackles, and you can't have like almost a non-hang time line drive, So.
Coach, go ahead. Evan, do you have a real question?
All right, you're good.
Oh, this is our student question of the week for you. Obviously, Saturday's Halloween and you're coaching, but if you weren't coaching and you were going to dress up for Halloween, what would you dress up for Halloween?
I don't know. Probably, I haven't given it any thought. I haven't thought anything, and that requires some planning. When I was a kid, I had cool costumes until I got, when I was younger, I'd try to have as cool a costumes as I could, and back then you'd think of stuff and make stuff, and of course I said this last year, I say it every year because I get asked this, my mom dyed a sheet black and made a really cool vampire cape, which was multifaceted because you could be Barnabas Collins, the guy on Dark Shadows, or you could be a vampire, or you could be Batman, so it had a lot of purposes, and you could cover a lot of ground with it, and so that came in handy. And then as you got older, of course, you'd go trick or treat, and you realized mobility was important. And once you started to hit the late grade school or even early junior high, you made sure you could cover as much ground and get as much candy as possible. So then a lot of times you'd say, well, what are you going to be for Halloween? Oh, I'm going to be a bum. I'm going to be a bum. Pretty soon everybody's going to be a bum, because then you just wear hiking boots and ragged clothes and go get a bunch of candy. So, which is a fairly transparent motivation, I realize, but we did get a lot of candy, and So, yeah, it's a good deal. As you get into football, there's a little less Halloween festivity, but it'll be fun. It'll be a great environment, a great time for the fans, and should be a good game.
I think most students probably assumed you had enough pirate stuff to be a pirate. Is that true, or do you have enough, gear to pull that
Well,
off?
you need, now swords were a rare commodity, and you make a cardboard sword, those didn't last as long as you'd hope, And, you'd cut out a cardboard one cover with tin foil, and then pretty soon it'd get all jacked up because, it'd start out fine, and then, your buddy'd have one, and so pretty soon you're whacking the hell out of him with your cardboard sword, and that, jacks the sword up pretty good. You might get lucky and get a wooden one. They'd sell plastic ones, but you could break those as fast as the cardboard ones. Pirate was a little more gear related, and if gear wasn't readily accessible, it was a little more difficult.
Do you have any gear now?
Yeah, I've been sent gear. This former player, his mom or somebody works at a costume company. Yeah, I've got hats. When that story came out in New York Times Magazine, I got more pirate stuff than you can imagine. I got guns, I got swords, I got hats, I got Jack Sparrow wigs, I got eye patches, but and then of course books, flags, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, you get good gear. I mean, if they tag you with something like pirates, you'll get some good stuff, So, yeah.